Hello, everybody. Welcome one, welcome all, and welcome back to the Bleav in Iowa State podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Carter.
And I'm your host, Cody Vanziolo.
Cody, welcome back. It was a great weekend in football. Starting off on Thursday with the college football playoff in a thriller with Miami beating Ole Miss, and then Indiana just absolutely dismantling Oregon 56-22. Or Miami, Indiana, that the national championship is set. Cannot wait for that one. But we do have some cyclones in the NFL to talk about. Brock Purdy had an excellent game last night as he led a game-winning drive, I Bleav, with a minute or so left as they win on the road in Philadelphia, 23-19, and eliminate the Eagles from the playoffs.
Yeah, it certainly wasn't pretty. He did have two interceptions in that game, but he was able to respond with two touchdowns, including one late in the game with about 4.5 minutes to go. And he was able to do enough to win this game. And he was able to do this even without George Kittle, who unfortunately went down with an Achilles injury in the second quarter. So that adds to the list of 49ers that have been injured throughout the year. So Brock Purdy, when the team needed him to get the job done, he gets the job done. Went 18 to 31 with 262 passing yards and two passing TDs. He also contributed 9 carries for 24 rushing yards as well.
Yeah, and he is a guy that just time and time again he shows that he is worth the $53 million that the 49ers paid him, and now the 49ers go and face a division foe on Saturday as they go to up to Seattle and face the number one seed Seahawks. That one's going to be an interesting matchup, and I know you're going to be excited, Cody.
Yeah, the last time San Francisco faced off against Seattle, they looked absolutely horrible. Only 3 points in that game in St. Clara, but that Seattle team is like looking to go to the Super Bowl, go back to the Super Bowl for the first time in over 10 years. So, kind of excited for that one.
Yeah. Very, very. This is gonna be the Reverend match. It's the third matchup of this, where San Francisco and Seattle split both matchups. All right. Um, we know one thing we know, Cody, is that we know that the Big 12 is an elite conference, but this picture right here really puts into perspective the impressiveness of the Big 12. I'm really going to share my screen. We're going to talk about this. I'll do most of the probably do most of the talking. I know you're feeling under the weather, Cody, but I mean the facts. You look at this and it says, and this is contributed by Robbie McCombs. This is just a random Twitter account. Big 12 standings through three games. The top four teams are combined 62-2. And you look at Arizona, Iowa State, BYU, and Houston. I mean, you look at it. Iowa State and Arizona are 16-1. BYU and Houston are 15-1, and all of them are 16-0. And then you look at Texas Tech, who's in fifth place. I mean, and they took down Duke. So I mean, it really tells you how elite the Big 12 is as a conference. Oh, did you hear any of that? Uh-oh. It looks like there was a technical difficulties. But with Cody, did you hear any of what I said previous? Uh-oh. It looks like we are having technical difficulties, guys. 1 second. Hold on. Let me. Oh, he's having. Here, hold on. Let me. Oh, shoot, sorry, y'all. This is bad TV. But I'm okay. Sorry about that. Cody will rejoin us back in a second. But with this, with this, like I said before, Arizona, Iowa State. BYU and Houston are combined are both all started 3-0, um, and are combined 62-2, um, which really shows how elite the conference is. At least starting off, really meaning that like this conference is probably gonna take, like we said, Cody, about 15 to 16 wins to win this conference. Like every loss is going to count.
Yeah, and I'm kind of disappointed with kind of like the way this the schedule is laid out because we don't get like Arizona, Houston, and BYU until like the latter half of the season. So I'm kind of disappointed with that because I would have loved to have them like sooner in the year, or maybe you play them twice.
Yeah, like it sucks. Yeah, the Big 12 schedule makes sure it sucks, dude. Because at least one of these teams, I wish we had twice, but like unfortunately, we have to deal with only playing them once, and then our I mean, the only one we play twice is KU, but like KU, as you see, is all the way down at the bottom, and they're way below West Virginia, who they lost to. So it should be interesting to see how this Big 12 schedule shakes out. Um, so, I mean, obviously, you know that we have Kansas um, coming up tomorrow night. I Bleav that is the 8 p.m. game tomorrow. So we are going to jump into that and dive into that. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to take a deeper dive and a deeper look into Kansas. Now, Cody, I guess for you, how are you feeling going into this KU game? Obviously, we know, last year around this time, we were also ranked number two, and we know what happened when we went to Tucson. How are you feeling this year about this year's team?
I think this team is like way better equipped, and like there's like better depth, obviously, with our bench giving us more minutes, and then just more consistency across the board. So I'm liking the fact that like we have a five who can stretch the floor more, who can like do more like at the glass. So for me, I like where this team's at, and then obviously, yeah, you mentioned around this time we were ranked number two, and funny enough, we hosted Kansas around like I think this time last year. We hosted them at Owen Coliseum. This was the first game without Mila Momcilovic. But I do like. I mean, so far the injury bug hasn't hit Iowa State yet, but we know at some point it could. So I'm really curious to see. And then Kansas itself, obviously they haven't been the same team as they were the last few years, especially this year. And this comes down to just this weird situation with Darren Peterson, where it feels like he's like on a minutes restriction. So the team doesn't know exactly like how many minutes he's gonna play. So that's where I look towards.
Yeah, no, definitely. I will say, like you said, we are a lot more well equipped for this game. I just think like Killian Torrey and Jamarian Bateman getting those type of minutes in the tournament earlier tournaments and in other games that's going to pay dividends, especially with Killian Torrey. Killian Torrey has been, a guy that we can really count on as we go further along into the season, especially with Taman. I think he came up limping. I think in Saturday's game against Oklahoma State, which we talk about in the next segment. But I want to talk about and take a look at and preview this game. Um, let's look at let's look at the matchup and really look at the both these lineups. So we will go and do that. And like, do you think that this is going to be the game where they finally let loose Darren Peterson in this game? Because I have a feeling that this was the plan all along, especially when they play elite teams like Iowa State, Houston,
Yeah, I would assume so.
Arizona.
Yeah, I would assume so because he's a top five
Okay,
NBA draft pick.
yeah,
So yes. the minutes restriction for these like lower tier Big 12 teams makes like it doesn't shock me that he could potentially play 35 minutes in this game.
No, definitely for sure. And then I know obviously we're gonna look at the uh one of the guys I'm looking for to be a guy in this game is Melvin Counselor Jr. Melvin Counselor Jr. is the second leading scorer on Iowa State, so he's going to be a guy that can definitely be a problem for the Cyclones. Shooting 40.6% from the field, averaging almost 14 points a game, 4 rebounds and 5 assists a game. So he is a danger to get a triple double in this game. I think another guy, obviously, and we had you also have DeJuan Harris, who has been there for years. But honestly, I'd look for him and for Darren Peterson to carry the game for the Jayhawks.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. For me, I'm just gonna see like I think I think certainly the fan base is gonna get up for this one. Um. Like they like it's kind of a weird thing where like Iowa State is the one coming in as the higher ranked team and they're the ones that are being hunted by Kansas. It's a weird feeling.
It is, man. Like it's such a bizarre world where Iowa State is the hunted team now. I'm really excited to see how we respond because obviously, if we're talking about history wise, this is a game where we always drop. Like I was like, okay, this is the classic Iowa State letdown game, and then usually we then lose 2 or 3 games and then lose that. But honestly, we really can prove all of the doubters wrong, and then if we can win this game, there are a lot of winnable games coming up right before we play KU again before Valentine's Day.
Yeah, this is one of those games where like if you want to really prove that you are a contender to win the Big 12 regular season title, you have to win this one. I mean, in years like Iowa State hasn't won in Fog Allen since 2017 with Donovan Jackson. So I don't know if somebody's gonna have a Donovan Jackson type of performance. Who knows? It could be Milan or one of the freshmen step up in that role as well. So if you're Iowa State, you should go into this game expecting to win.
Yes, I agree. And some of the crucial matchups that I want to talk about. I think one of the matchups that I'm looking at for me is oh um, some of the one of the matches I'm looking for is Florida Badunga against some either Joshua Jefferson or Blake Buchanan. That is going to be a war on the boards. I think whoever wins that matchup is really going to dictate on how the flow of the game is going to be. Florida Badunga averages about 9 rebounds a game, and I mean Blake Buchanan had a great game on Saturday, but he's probably gonna have to play one of the best games of his career of his young career tomorrow night against the Jayhawks.
Yeah, and then I could say the same with Derek Pearson versus I'm going to assume Kelly Torrey. Kelly
Yeah,
Torrey has already been up against Braden Smith and Bennett Sturts, so I'm curious to see how he's going to do against a top 5 draft pick in Darren Peterson. And I think TJ is going to trust that Kelly Torrey is going to be able to do his job, which can free up Taman Lipsey.
definitely. Yeah, Taman's gonna be on console, so those defensive matchups I think for me are going to be a key. And then just Milan. Trying to think who he would guard. It'd probably be what probably be Troy Wright, I'm guessing,
Trey White. Yeah, I would guess so.
because they play a guard heavy offense. So it'd probably be because Milan is sort of like a bigger guard, but like at 6'8", even though he plays the three.
Shit, it
But
could be it could be him versus Bryson Tiller.
it could trap soul.
Yep.
Don't. But yeah, those are some of the matchups that I'm looking at. Or at least for me. that stand out to me, Cody. I guess like we always do. What are some of the things that you're looking for in this matchup for Iowa State to be successful?
Um, I'd say first, like the big thing would be the fouls because we've noticed that like the last couple of games, Iowa State has been like in a couple of rough shows, and I think that's part of like two, um, kind of controlling the foul rate because you can't send a team like Kansas to the line as much as we did against Baylor and Oklahoma State. That's going to be a
Oh
big
yeah,
recipe for disaster. And then turnovers, that'll have to be controlled as well. And then you just need Milan to be aggressive. Like those are the three things. Milan's got to be more aggressive from the start.
completely agree. So mine number one, um, keep composure. You can't. Obviously, we have a mix of old and young, so there. I'm pretty sure the upperclassmen has told the younger guys about what it's like playing at Allen Fieldhouse. So weathering the storm, because you already know that there's going to be runs where it just happens where Kansas just goes on a amazing run, even though this Kansas team is not as good as the teams in the past. It's really just inevitable that they're going to go on one of those crazy runs like they always do, and at the Fog. So weathering the storm. Number two, like you said, um, I think Milan is going to be has to be aggressive in this game. Can't be passive. And what he's been doing behind the 3 point line, continue that, and then three. I think our guards definitely cannot get into foul trouble. We have to be a lot more disciplined because you already know the whistle is gonna. They're already gonna be looking for a reason to blow the whistle at Allen Fieldhouse. Like we saw, the crazy comeback that they made against TCU. So you already know that they're gonna be looking for something to blow the whistle on. Those are mine. Um, and then lastly, how do you think that this game goes, Cody? Do you think we get our first loss, or do we continue our win streak?
I think we're going to continue the win streak. I think on paper, this Iowa State team is much more well rounded than Kansas. Obviously, Kansas is going to have the home court advantage, but I think in compared to years past, Iowa State has a more like in depth team. They've got more versatility and all that. I think Iowa State they're probably going to be close. Like I mean, neck and neck with each other, and Iowa State will go on like a big run, and they'll be able to pull away and never look back.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I think Iowa State continues their undefeated streak as well. I think this team just has a lot much more composure than other years' teams, and they have a lot more depth than other years' teams. Like last year, we saw last year, like right after the K State game, we just went down there and it was ugly, and everybody absolutely folded, and that's when we went on an ugly losing streak. But I think we're going to win something like a 70, 75, 71, something like that. I could easily see that.
I can see
All
that as
right.
well.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. All right. So now we're gonna take a look at last week. We're gonna do a recap of last week's games. Obviously, we had two games last week. We went 2-0, and there were two different feels about the game, two different games. Obviously, we're going to start with the first game last week as Iowa State went on the road and defeated Baylor 70-60. I want to hear your thoughts, Cody. What did you think about that win in Waco?
Honestly, that was the performance there. That was ugly. That first half felt like first year TJ. Just nobody could make a shot. It was just a grind out, gritty type of game. But to Iowa State's credit, they were able to just in the second half score 45 points. Part of that is Taman Lipsey putting up 24, while when Milan Martovic couldn't get a shot off, he wasn't able to score. He stepped up, and that's what you kind of like to see out of the big three, where like, even if one guy's off, you have another guy that steps up. And then Joshua Jefferson continues to be a menace as the all around guy because he had a double double in this game, 19 points and 17 rebounds. So Jefferson continues to do just about everything on the court. And I mean, Jefferson did a good job getting some key offensive
Definitely.
rebounds. Where I think we talked that would be something that Iowa State would need to do in order to win this game is limit the offensive boards for Baylor, and part of that was Joshua Jefferson. Um, he got some key ones as well, and then just this step up from Tatum Lipsey, um, that was huge.
Yeah, it's just hey, it keeps happening again and again, Cody. Every single time where somebody is struggling, it's complementary basketball. Whenever somebody else is struggling, somebody else picks them back up, and then we got to talk about the bench production. We had Dominicus played coming in and contributing with 2 points and 4 rebounds, and Nate Heisey having a pretty good game as well. 6 points, two big three, 2 of 4 from three, 6 points, 6 rebounds, 1 assist. As the and one thing that I did like is that the Cyclones were able to hit crucial free throws near the end of the game. So although they went 12 of 20 and it was just an ugly game, they were able to uh, close out this game. And obviously, we recapped this game and we went into Saturday's game feeling, a lot better about that. And we thought we thought Iowa State was probably going to cover, but we were going to go into the next game for Iowa State, as Iowa State on Saturday hosted Oklahoma State, and Oklahoma State. Um, I'm not gonna lie, they put up a fight. Oklahoma State is a lot better than what I thought they were. I think they proved to Iowa State that they weren't just gonna lay down.
Yeah, this is a lot. This Oklahoma State team is much better than the ones the last 2 years. Steve Lutz is a guy going in Stillwater, and this roster is built nice. And yeah, they were right there with us. They kept pace with us. They had a 9 point lead on Iowa State at one point, and they were very competitive. So that is something to note, especially because Iowa State has to play Oklahoma State again 2 weeks from last Saturday down in Stillwater. So that's the thing to note. And Oklahoma State, they weren't going to go down easily, but Iowa State was able to put on a run late in the first half, into the second half, and they never looked back.
Yeah, and I mean, two of the big point men for Oklahoma State were Parsafala and Anthony Roy. Um, they were getting what they wanted in the paint. I was actually very surprised how well they played in the paint with points in the paint, and then they were just hitting everything basically from three in the first half. I will say though that the refing was very very ticky tacky, especially in the first half. A lot of our players got into foul trouble. They were looking for anything to call. Although I will say, once Iowa State was able to play their type of ball in the second half and the whistles calmed down, Iowa State was able to pull away.
Yeah, it's just a whistle. It interrupted the flow of the game. I think that's part of maybe why Iowa State couldn't really pull away fully. It's just they couldn't get into a flow state of things and just were not able to really pull away.
Yes, no, for sure. And you see the distribution. Everyone was able to be in double figures. Blake Buchanan, great game, 10, 6, and 3. Joshua Jefferson with 19 and 5. Milan back in his bag. I mean, we gotta talk about Milan, man. Milan with a rebound game of 6 of 10. And the one three that stands out in my mind was the one right at the shot clock with 1 second, and he fades away and and hits it, and it
That
was
was
all net. I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me!
that's an NBA type shot.
It really is. I'm like, oh, Milan. I'm like, Milan is playing with him. I'm like, this is insane.
Just, yeah, yeah, that was just a good rebound, a bounce back kind of game for him, and I think he needed that one heading into tomorrow. But I mean, also Killian Torrey with 12 points and 7 rebounds, and then Taylor Lipsey with 11 and 3 rebounds, 4 assists, and I mean, this game, Taylor Lipsey reached 500 career assists.
Yes, and then so congratulations to him. He also had four steals in this game. So was able to get all those turnovers for those transition baskets. A guy that I want to talk about. Obviously, Dominicus Plata is coming into his own. He contributed off the bench, making every shot that he made. 6 points, 4 rebounds. One of the guys I wanted to talk about is Dominic Nelson. 7 points in 6 minutes. Was able to was 35 from the field, hit a crucial three throw with 7 points off the bench. Um, I want to talk about him for a second. With Dom Nelson, do you think that um, we could see him become a bigger contributor in the second half of the season?
I think so. Now that he's like more healthy, because I think earlier in the year he wasn't as healthy. He dealt with like, some groin issues. So now that like he's much more healthy, I think we're gonna see more out of Dom Nelson. So it's just like in the way like his play style is. He's a guy who clearly feasts in transition. Who
Yeah,
just go like attacks the rim. So that's gonna be really huge.
not for sure. Yeah, no, man. It's only going to pay dividends for him to getting more reps at the power 4 level, power 5 level. So I'm really excited to see where he is by the time we play either Houston or Arizona. Those really really big games. All right. Obviously, like we always do, Cody, we are going to do our Big 12 top five. Cody, what is your order for the Big 12 right now?
Um, I don't think it's probably hasn't changed too much for me. It would be Arizona, Iowa State, Houston, BYU, and then Texas Tech.
Yeah, I literally had the same thing. I have Arizona, um, Iowa State, Houston, BYU, and Texas Tech. Honestly, really nothing has changed. I don't. I want to look at the conference schedule to see if
Yeah,
any, if there's any of those teams play each other soon.
yeah.
I don't think they do, but
I feel
let
like a
me just.
sleeper pick would be UCF. I feel like that's a sleeper pick.
Yeah, I mean, if they can start picking off teams, like I wouldn't be surprised to be honest.
Yeah, they've already picked off Kansas. They do host Arizona on the 17th. That's a huge game for them.
Oh,
And then they got to go to Iowa State.
okay, so definitely a team to watch out for. Dark horse is UCF because I mean they could definitely throw a wrench into things in the Big 12.
Hmm.
Um, here
And then, I
let's
mean,
look.
I think also Colorado, they kept it competitive with Texas Tech. They only lost by two. And the thing was, Texas Tech was up 25 at one point against
Yeah,
Colorado, but Colorado nearly came back all the way and won that game. So that's something to note.
no,
Um,
definitely. Another one big standings wise that are coming on tomorrow as well. Baylor going on the road to Stillwater to play Oklahoma State. That one should be interesting. Let's look on Wednesday, see if there's anything else. Colorado goes on the road to Cincinnati, and that's going to be and UCF going on the road to the Octagon of Doom on Wednesday as they play K State. Arizona State at 9:30 on FS1. That one is going to be an interesting matchup. As you know, rivalry games are always pretty close. As you saw with BYU barely edging out Utah this week in the Holy War for basketball. TCU going on the road to the Marriott Center to play BYU on Wednesday. Um, that one looks to be a interesting matchup. And then we'll look at Saturday. Obviously, Iowa State goes to Cincinnati. Arizona is on the road, like you said, at UCF. Colorado going on the road to West Virginia. If they can keep up, they could definitely be a dark horse. We do have one at 7 that catches my eye. 7 p.m. Saturday night as uh, Texas Tech hosts BYU.
yeah, I'm kind of excited about this one. Just the thoughts of like that starting lineup for Texas Tech, like they're gonna probably carry the load against like a potent offensive unit in BYU. Uh, It's another opportunity for Agent DeBance to really prove himself in a in a road environment.
Definitely, we're gonna see what this BYU team is made of. Um, and lastly, to end the show, we are going to recap some of the pickups in the portal. So I'm going to share my screen. We're going to go to our guy, Iowa State Nation. Thank you for we are thankful for his contributions as we look as uh, Coach Rogers continues to build up the team. All right, 1 second. All right, here we go. And boom. All right. So this is this is one that uh and a lot of our if you were part of the some of the premium boards, this is one that Cam Petaway he committed to Iowa State. He had a pretty good redshirt freshman season at Bowling Green, um, with 365 yards and 3 touchdowns. He has some burst to him. Really, really like that for the running back room right now that Iowa State has with River Peppers, who is recovering from injury. Probably a Aiden Flora and him. So it looks like it's probably going to be a running back by committee, or we probably will know once we get to fall camp. But it's really, really good that there's a lot of uh, competition in that room. So it looks like it's coming along together. We're gonna have a few more. Also, we have another running back in the portal. Saladin Allah has committed to Iowa State. He had a pretty successful season last year with Oregon State. We also were able to get a 6'2", 225 tight end um, from Hampton this morning. I forgot what his name was. I will get that for you for Wednesday show. One of the big gets though was former Montana State D-back Seth Johnson, a guy who had 4 pass breakups and 1 forced fumble. A really really good 81 PFF grade. He who just played in the championship game against Illinois State. Very very excited about that pickup, Cody.
Mm-hmm. And if you notice there, it said like he chose Iowa State over Penn State, Oklahoma State, among others.
Yeah, so it's a good thing we beat out Matt Campbell for him. So that's always a great thing. And also another addition to the quarterback room with former Oklahoma State's quarterback Zane Flores. I think that's what really at this point in the portal, it's really just looking like they're more it's really more depth pieces to fill out the roster. And we only have like 4 more days left in the portal, so just look for a lot of these names to be more depth pieces to fill out the roster as we get closer and closer to the spring ball. Obviously, everybody goes back to class next Tuesday. Cody, to make sure you finish out strong. Obviously, as you are graduating this year.
Yep, I'll do my best for that. I'll try.
All right, like I'll try. Yeah. You better. No, it's fine. All right. So this is more of a shorter show today. Thank you guys for joining us on the Bleav in Iowa State podcast. A few things before we go. A big, big thank you to FanDuel. FanDuel has been a great sponsor of the Bleav in Iowa State podcast, and I'm sure with the football weekend, hopefully you won some money and took advantage of all the promos on FanDuel. So thank you guys for that. Also, if you want to find us on Twitter, we can be Cody can be found on Twitter at Tierney's Burner. I can be found on Twitter at SciTi Guy if it would show up. And also make sure to follow us on social media. We can be found on Twitch at Bleav in ISU 2025. How you spell Bleav? Bleav. And our other 5 forms of social media: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitch. So, for the Bleav in USA podcast, for Tyler Carter,
And for Cody Vasilem,
roll clones, baby.
go Cyclones.